Hey there, guys. It's me again. Um, I'm recording this again because my retarded ass forgot to unmute my fucking microphone. I'm actually gonna fucking start sobbing, bro. Anyways, this is a quick extension of my last video, and if you haven't watched the first, like, 2 minutes of that, I recommend that you go watch that first for context before you get into this one. I understand that with re-uploading that video and cutting some segments out, and I did so because I wanted to ensure that I was being fair and that the information that I was providing, such as evidence, screenshots, and stuff like that, I wasn't being unfair and, I was getting my stuff, right? So, with that being said, let's just get right into this. So, what I'm going to be talking about is Prisma's room once again. I feel like I didn't emphasize certain stuff in there enough, so I'm just going to start that now. So, regardless of Prisma's intention, that's what I'm arguing. Again, without your intention in the scenario, because it's basically impossible to prove whether or not you intended to do something or you didn't intend to do something. What I have a issue with is that the room itself does naturally encourage targeting, functions like a blacklist, and can lead to harassment. Because the accusation of, like, whether you intended this or not, like, that's impossible to prove, right? I can't prove whether or not you intended to do this, so I'm not going to say that you meant for this to happen. However, your room description does say that this does not mean to witch hunt and do not harass these players. But then you do link our specific profiles with a list of accusations without providing any evidence. You tell people not to trust them. You tell people not to give them mod. And you publicly warn others about us. Even if you say, don't harass these people, that setup naturally leads to social targeting. And wouldn't you guess it, that is just what happened. So, in the first very 2 days that you have released this map, I have received friend requests from players who, oddly enough, don't want to ask any questions or talk about anything at all. And I think that is the most concerning. And I actually feel very bad because these people have joined this room. They've read up on all of these different accusations. They were clearly interested enough that they sent me a friend request. And then, upon me kindly asking them if they wanted to talk or ask any questions, no, I didn't know. Yeah, no, I'm not interested in that. Like, really? And it's just unfortunate, man. And I hate to say whether these people intended to or not. I'm not even going to argue on that. But you have the opportunity to get my side of the story, and then you just blatantly say that you don't want anything. Really? Like, you went through all that effort of adding me, and then now that you come to it, you've got nothing. But anyways, moving on. One last thing before I end this. I was intending for this to be short, not much longer than like 5, 10 minutes. Just an extension of the last one. So, something I didn't emphasize in the front of Prisma's room. So let's just quote this really quickly. Let's read from the start. So, hello. Before looking at the accused, I ask that you read the room description. Now, the second sentence is what I'm going to be emphasizing here. So, as it says, Prisma, this is coming out of your own words. This is your room. Of course, almost everything in here is backed up with evidence. Just pause for a moment. Do you see it? Almost everything in here is backed up with evidence. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but does that not mean that you currently have accusations in here that don't have evidence to back it up with. Because that would be extremely bad. If you have almost everything backed up with evidence, wouldn't it be responsible to remove the stuff that you do not have the evidence for? Because what ends up happening is you are currently, and this is, by your own words, because you say you almost everything in here is backed up with evidence, that you are currently spreading evidence, regardless of your intentions or not, whether you intended or not, but I'm going off of what you said here. You're currently spreading evidence that don't have evidence. You're currently spreading accusations that don't have evidence to back it up with. That means that you are spreading information that could potentially be incorrect. But with that being said, again, I didn't want this to be very long. I just wanted to, clarify and conclude some things. I hope that you guys have a good night, good day, whatever time it may be for you. If you want to talk or ask any questions, whether it's in the comments or in the game itself, I would be absolutely willing to. But with that being said, see you.